All right, in this episode, we talk about calf raises to increase pitching velocity
and shoulder mobility.
Stephen go down here at the Top Velocity hashtag Pitch Tips show where you get a hashtag Pitch Tips, hashtag baseball tips. I know we're saying pitch tips all the time, but we want you to ask baseball questions too.
Yep.
But you go to go to all those networks and ask your questions. We're going to answer on the show. Hope you're having a good holidays. If you've been watching the show, thanks for watching. Help us share it, get it out there. Help us let others see it. We would appreciate it. That's what it's all about. We want to help more people doing this. If you haven't heard about us, go to topvelocity.net. Check out our 3X, 2X programs, or just watch more of these previous episodes. We have a lot of them. Check out the new Top Velocity Baseball Science series. And all right, let's get started. What's the question for today? Mike Hoffman asks, should I be doing calf raises to help with triple extension? How important is calf power / strength? Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. It's like once you start getting into the program and you start developing total body strength and then total body power, really get into the Olympic stuff. And you do get to this point where the Olympic stuff can use a lot of knee or quad and glute to fire through triple extension, not as much calf. So I do like to do extra calf work because when I broke through and started throwing into the 90s, I was running hills, doing sprints up hills, like steep inclines, and my ankles at night felt like they were going to explode, and I had to stretch the hell out of them because they were loading so much weight and force and generating that. And I'm telling you, I could feel that on the rubber. And I love that feeling of just gripping and ripping off the rubber into triple extension, and it was key. It was critical. So I do believe that. Is calf raises the best way to do it? No, because it's more of a strength lift. That's why the running in an incline hit the calves more in like power. A lot more stretch shortening there. So calf raises are still good. I even like in our power shrugs, if you look in the level 2 program, when we do our heavy loaded power shrugs, I get you going up on your toes. That really helps do it too. But to tell you the truth, you can't beat a hill. Like if you can get a steep incline hill and do, say, all of your sprints there, everything there, do your whole anaerobic program on that hill, that would be huge because it would overload your ankles and your calves, and you would get a lot of that lower limb power, which is so critical for ball speed and for, if we had that one study, which we'll probably eventually do on the baseball science series, the ankle, the calf, the drive leg had the highest activation out of all the muscles in this one study. So I'm a big believer in its ability to generate forces because it's the closest to the ground in the back leg force production. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I love that you're asking about the calf stuff because I think it's really big too, and that's something that when I was training with David that we started adding in at the end of it too, was we would just go to the barbell like in a back squat position and just load up weight on the bar and just knock out like 30 calf raises. As much as Brent says, we don't have hills in Louisiana, so
right, that's a better way to do it too. Like on a weight like that, and you're bouncing into it, like loading into it, and put a little lift on your calf.
Yeah. So you could do it on like a 45-pound bumper plate or something to give yourself a little something to get more of a load into it. But yeah, we would knock out like 3 or 4 sets of 30 of those, and man, your calves are howling after that. So that's a good one to do. But yeah, I think that's really important to have, just build up everything, get it as strong and as explosive as possible. So that's just another part of the chain that you're looking at, that you're trying to strengthen and build some power in.
And the other thing I like, you can do this too, because we don't have hills, so we've been creative, is strength shoes. Strength shoes put the lift, put you in a dorsiflexion. Use strength shoes in your anaerobics. But I'll tell you right now, it's the only thing I'm concerned about strength shoes is it can cause injury, meaning strains. It can strain, you literally feel like your ankle ruptures if you go too far. So baby step it. I'm telling you, baby step it. Start it in slowly, do a few sprints with it and see how you feel the next day. I'm telling you, that thing will crush you. You won't be able to walk in 2 days. So baby step it, I promise you. But that's another great way to do it if you don't have hills. All right, next question. Eric Exum asks, can you explain the importance of joint mobility, especially shoulder, and how to improve mobility? Okay, we talked about this last episode with the sleeper stretch. We want to be careful stretching the shoulder. Kevin made a good point, stretching, working on the big muscle groups, prime movers, pecs, lats, stretch those. But we still refer to Kelly Starrett's a supple leopard because he's got such a great library of tools to create almost hypermobility. So we like what he does. So getting into that book, look in the table of contents, go to the area you want to work with, if it's the shoulder or the pecs or the back, and take that approach. So obviously joint mobility is important, specifically in the lower legs. I'm not really so concerned about joint mobility in the arms. Rarely at all. If I see a guy with not a lot of external rotation, when I measure him out, it tells me he doesn't use it biomechanically. So I've got to teach him how to use more external rotation, and then it will start to adapt to a better range. So I really look at shoulder rotation, mobility, more as how you're using your arm and how hard you're throwing. And I know basically to improve that, I just got to teach you to use your arm in a better arm path, and I got to teach you to throw, put more force on that arm through your lower half. But the things that really concern me is the ankle mobility, the hip mobility, the trunk mobility. That's the problems with that, meaning I'll never be able to build force, move force up the chain if that mobility doesn't give me the ability to do it. So that's where I really make a big emphasis on stretching and dynamic work and band distraction, stuff like that, which you'll learn about with Kelly Starrett. Because that's really critical. Even stretching, that's the only time I'd like you to stretch pre-workout, pre-game, because if I can't get my hips to open, I'm not going to connect the chain well. I'm not going to be able to move power well, and it's going to be a big issue when it comes to performance. Even if I have to kill some elasticity to do it, it's like you're gaining range of motion, you might be losing some speed, but sometimes that range of motion is more important right now than that speed. Anything you want to add?
I think we when guys come into the camp, we'll test like external rotation and stuff like that. And like Brent's saying, like a lot of lower velocity guys and stuff will have less external rotation than some of the guys that are throwing harder. You can kind of get an idea of I've heard you say before, like you can kind of get an idea of ball velocity just by looking at their external rotation. Right, yeah. Sometimes. So. If they're old, if they're young, no. If they're matured, yes. Yes, but like just when you're testing, like I think it can be deceiving how much external rotation guys really have. That I probably have to do a better job because I'm the one who does the testing on them. But you'll see people like bending, like getting extension in their back, and they'll be trying to lean back as much as they can, and like just trying to get extra external rotation in places where it's not really showing that they have real external rotation. It's not like they have that external rotation with what they're showing. They're just trying to find it in like different areas, like going into extension with the back, their chest like puffing up and stuff like that. So I think that's one thing that like a lot of low velocity guys don't have, but I completely agree with Brent and Kevin that it's not something that you just go out and stretch and like that's going to give you more external rotation. You like Kevin was saying, you want to have a stable shoulder, not so much like a really loose, stretch it out kind of thing that can kind of lead to injury. But I think the way Brent goes about it, trying to get external rotation, like a great one is we use the football for external rotation, and I think that, and teaching the body, like Brent's saying, through the biomechanics to use the kinetic chain to create more external rotation is the better way to go about it than just having a poor foundation, not enough power in the lower half, doesn't really know how to use the kinetic chain, and then really trying to stretch and sleeper stretch to create more external rotation. I think that's just kind of like on a road to injury at that point.
Yeah, it's not a good approach. Very good. All right, was that our last question?
I think so.
Yeah. Got a funny comment from TJ on YouTube right just then. He just said, "Stop this." He said, "Brent, stop this is way too dangerous," laughing out loud. We are the most dangerous show on the internet on pitching and baseball tips, and we love it. We'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah. Hold on. Nice.